Call of Duty gamers, welcome to another video here on the channel. Of course, it's CDL Talk with Tunn on the EGL YouTube, and Challengers Elite eventually did kick off, and it was so exciting just to be a part of it, if I'm honest with you, and to be back. I mean, for me personally, to be back in the swing of things with Call of Duty. Obviously, we missed out most of the year on Modern Warfare, but we're going to go through today, talk about some of the games we've seen on broadcast, what we think of some of the teams on the initial outset. Obviously, all teams have played 4 games now, so we're more than halfway through with only 1 week played. They're short little seasons, but it's all going to amalgamate together, isn't it? There's 5 different seasons coming up. We're probably going to have the majority of the same teams in there, with a few little outliers who will probably make their way in. But let's have a talk through the games that we've seen already and some of the games that are coming up next week, what we think of the standings, etc, etc. So let's delve through it. Let's talk about Europe first, as that was first on the line, and just going through a couple of these results, maybe not going through them too in depth, but Oglist beating Gangsters, that was a big result as far as I'm concerned. I spoke to some of the guys on Oglist. They were super happy to get past Hydra and the boys, and that's a big win for them, and that really kicked things off for them as they ended up going 4-0. Having a look through, obviously, who they beat Connect 4, they beat Singularity, and then of course beating 3G. A really good start for Oglist. Now looking at House Tarth, 3-1 from them against Obtained Esports, but then things going a little bit differently, losing 3-0 to Gangsters, then 3-2 to Singularity. I mean, this is just the reoccurring theme with Europe of how competitive it really is looking. Rams coming in with a 3-1 win against 3G, then losing to Connect 4, then losing to Obtained, and then of course beating Singularity. So I think you know, the overwhelming feeling with Europe is that things are super tight. The only team unbeaten right now is Oglist. Of course, as I said, we've already walked through who they beat. And there is a couple of teams who are probably lying down at the bottom, but that mid-pack to top is just super stacked. Obtained had a bit of a mixed week, lost 3-1 to House Tarth in a bit of a slow game at the start, beat 3G, then beat Rams in a super close game, which is on broadcast, probably my favourite game of the week, that we had really close, but then losing out to Gangsters 3-2. So not necessarily the best start for Obtain. We really do expect them to be at the higher end of things. Singularity, not necessarily a great start for them either. Let's just go ahead and have a look at the actual standings here in Europe to see where everybody's sitting at. 3G 0-4. I think, without being harsh on the 3G boys, they really do have a tough task on their hands. You look at every single one of these teams outside of 3G. You could argue that all of them could probably beat each other. I think there was a tweet come up from Bids to say, I don't know if this game's just inconsistent or the competition in Europe is super high this year. I think it could potentially be a bit of both, but I think the competition is just really high. I think, you know, people are still figuring out some of the nuances of the game. Obviously, Raid has just come in, which has really been very popular for a lot of these teams. And I'm interested to see, as time develops, if people start getting, you know, better strats, etc. on that map, if things do start to develop in terms of the meta, etc. That's when things will really start to come on down. But let's have a look at the standings. As said, Oglist 4-0, the only team with a 100% win record, of course, only losing 5 maps. A couple of 3-2s in there as well, so, you know, they're happy with their S&D clearly. And for me, this team will only get better with Harry in it as well. The time that they take to delve into their gameplay, they will only get better. Gangster sitting at 3-1. We only got to see them once where they did go on to lose their game, if I remember correctly. 3-1 is not bad for them. They're a very solid lineup. It's interesting to see how Hydra's going to do in their team. But yeah, Gangsters, very solid lineup. We've seen, I think it was specifically that Crossroads hardpoint where Hydra dropped, I think it was 26 kills in the first rotation, and they still went on to like lose the game or something stupid like that, if I remember rightly. Connect 4 have started pretty well, 3-1 for them. I'm interested to see how they do continue. Very hot start for them. Obtained at 2-2 is probably one of my surprises. I would expect maybe a 3-1, possibly even a 4-0 out of them. They're a very good squad, but Chain coming in, that things are still being worked out. I think on the AR front, it's maybe where they're struggling just a little bit. Of course, beating Rams in that fantastic game 3-2 was a really big result for them. Rams sitting at 2-2 as well. But it's just the competition across the board. I mean, House Tarth and Singularity are sitting at 1-3. Which just says a lot. So I'm interested to see if these two can really bounce back. They definitely have it in their locker to do so, but you do want to be making sure you're in that top 6 spot. So we'll be keeping an eye in week number 2 of how those games are going to lie. 3G at the bottom, I think they're in relegation. I think they're going to have to fight their way back into this one, because realistically, 0-4, even with 3 games to go, 3-4, I think you would do very well to go that far. Let's move over towards the NA side of things, though. And I think the NA side of things had, I want to say, maybe less surprises than the European side. and maybe is a little bit more top heavy, I would say. Wester just look fantastic in their games, 3-0, 3-1, 3-0, and 3-2 against Mocky, which surprises me that that went all the way to last map. We didn't get to see that one on broadcast, of course, as we only see every single team once, but at the same time, I'm surprised to see them go all that distance, and then obviously the S&D win having to come on through, but nonetheless, they'll be very, very happy with how things have started for them. The UT crew, though, I think, you know, you look at this roster, and I expected bigger things, but then going on to lose to Team Z 3-1 after a pretty decent start at 3-0 did surprise me. But Team Z's a team I really do want to speak about. I'm super happy with how they're doing. Obviously, I don't want to say, like, I wasn't expecting a gimmick or anything with them to sort of say, you know, these European pros are back in here and playing European, Australian, and American former pros, obviously, in here. It was one of those that I was like, okay, you know, they'll do all right. I didn't expect them to be 3-1, if I'm honest with you. Let's run through their results. So 3-2 against Hire. I can't even see them anymore. Am I twisted? No, sorry, I'm looking at it completely wrong here. Let's look through their results. They lost to Subliners Academy, which is fair because Subliners Academy do look like a really, really good roster. Then obviously going on through and playing some more games, beating UT Crews 3-1, beating Mr. Minmaps 3-0. And then in their other game, I can't even see it. This is the problem with any logos. Build by Gamers, they beat them 3-1. And this Build by Gamers roster is one I want to speak about in a second. But let's be honest, Team Z doing really, really well to kick things off. But let's talk about Build by Gamers. Lost to Wester 3-0 straight off the rip. Lost then to Team Z, as mentioned. Lost to Subliners Academy in that game that we see in the reverse sweep came through. You thought Build by Gamers were getting it going. Subliners Academy saying no and come back with a reverse sweep. But then beating Mr. Man Maps 3-0, so they did get something going. I think, you know, these are the main teams we're going to be talking about for the majority of the time. Subliners Academy and Wester really looking above and beyond. Let's have a look at the standings. Of course, both of those guys sitting at 4-0. UT Crew, Team Z 3-1, and you know, Team Z beating UT Crew is a massive, massive result for them. Yes, okay, they've got to go on and play Wester at some point, do Team Z, and I believe that is actually going to be next week. We'll take a look at the schedule in a second, but they have some easier games coming up, do Team Z. So I'm super interested to see where they can finish. I honestly think that third spot is really theirs, and they will be looking to get into that playoff bracket to confirm themselves in the next season. But things not looking good for Mocky and Mr. Midmaps. I mean, there's only one map coming in for Mr. Midmaps, and that's disappointing. Built by Gamers is the surprise for me, though. I think, you know, I look at that roster, and it's a very, very good one. Guys like got RX Kismet in there. I mean, these guys should be doing fantastic, but it's not really working out for them whatsoever at this moment in time. I think they're a candidate for relegation. Things are looking really, really slow for them. They may have to requalify. It's looking likely that they will, unless they can start a late surge. But Subliners Academy and West, really looking forward to their game when it does come up. Let's have a look at the schedule for week number 2 in Europe and North America. So August have a very, very tough one to kick things off. Rams is who they're going to be going up first. With Gangsters and Connect 4, that's a really good game. These are two really good games that are kicking off at the same time. 3G, they have to beat House Tarth, and the same goes for House Tarth, they have to beat 3G. So in this one, that's a must-win game. Singularity need to get things on the go again against Obtained, who really do need to find some wins to get themselves further at the top. House Tarth then got a tough game against August, but honestly, that's a really tough game for both teams. August will be wanting to remain undefeated. House Tarth, a solid lineup, just could not get anything going this week so far. 3G, again, it's must win against Singularity. You look at 3G's first day, House Tarth, Singularity, these are the guys who are in the bottom 3-4. You need to be making sure you are winning these games to get yourself in a really nice spot. Obtained against Connect 4 is a big one. Gangsters versus Rams will be very, very juicy. Then into the next day, we don't have as many on the Wednesday, we don't have as many games coming up, of course. Obtained Esports against August, 3G against Connect 4, Gangsters, Singularity, and House Tarth against Rams. I think, you know, looking at this one in particular, Obtained against August is going to be a juicy one, but a lot of these teams have to win all their games at this moment in time if they want to put themselves in a good spot. The only one who are flawless, as I said, are August. I'm really looking forward to this, though. August against Rams is going to be fantastic. House Tarth, I'm interested to see if August can continue, because I think, you know, there is a part of me that is surprised at how well they're doing. I say this as I wasn't expecting Dave to be dropped. I think the fact that he did get dropped was questionable at the time, but Harry coming in, the fact they managed to get a hold of him is really the difference maker here. But House Tarth, for me, is a surprise that they're doing as badly as they are. I expect them to pick it up, and hopefully they do towards the back end. Let's have a look at the North American side of things, and we all are looking for that one game Wester against Subliners Academy. That is going to be the final game at 2:30 a.m. my time. The time zone thing is a killer, it has to be said, but that's going to be on Thursday, and we're super excited to see that. Oh, sorry, Wednesday, but obviously early in the morning. Our time is the schedule is based on where you are. Build by Gamers really need to get something going here in the second week. They've got Hire, Mocky, and UT Crew. These are all winnable games. They need to get this locked up because honestly, it's not good from them so far at all. Really did expect a little bit more out of this team. Team Z, sorry, kick off with the game against Wester, which will be a real barometer of where they actually are. I think it's going to be a difficult one for them nonetheless, but if we can see a big performance out of Team Z in this one, it'll look nice. I'll be interested to see where they lie in that one. They then have to go on to play a Hire, Mocky, and then that will be the rest of their week played out, I do believe. Yeah, only 3 more games for them to go, of course. So interested to see how Team Z come out on the other side of it. Subliners Academy, though, Mr. Mid-Maps and UT Crew, I expect them to win those games, and it really is going to come down to that last game between Wester and themselves to sort of determine where we are. So another quick look at their standings to sort of see where we lie. Obviously, August looking very good. Gangsters and Connect 4 very close behind them, but August looking good for the 100%. It wouldn't surprise me if they do win the rest of their games with the way they have been playing. It has looked fantastic. Subliners Academy and West are looking solid in the North American region. UC Crew and Team Z not too far behind, but there's a big drop off after that. Higher Built by Gamers, Mocky, and Mr. Mid-Maps really need a turnaround throughout the week. The weekend's coming up, so the CDL is actually fully on and started last night with some fantastic games. Nice to see Miles and Chance back up there as well. Big fan of them too myself, and of course the games were fantastic as well. So hopefully we get some more good ones over the coming weekend. Let me know what you think is going to happen in the CDL games. Let me know what you thought of the Challengers Elite though. You know, if you were a first time viewer of Challengers play, let me know what you thought of it. I think honestly the game was absolutely fantastic. I thought Ellen did a really good job in her first week as casting as well, and she's only going to get better, which is fantastic to see, you know, her coming in and stepping up so well to the play, and interested to see if the Challengers scene does continue to be super competitive. Europe looking competitive. America is a little top heavy. Let me know who you think is going to finish top, who you think is going to fall out into relegation, who you think is going to make it through to that double elimination bracket, which we will have coming in week number 3. We won't be casting week number 2, but we will be watching. Hopefully you guys will be as well. We'll be sitting there watching with you, but thanks for watching, and we will see you next time.